Welcome back to Raining Cats and Dogs, you guys, in our penultimate episode of the opening season. I am your host, Henry Jansen, sports writer for the Kirksville Daily Express. This evening, we will have a good one before we round out the season with next week. Tyler Hudlow with Truman State University baseball, and then later on, Lee Riley in his ride off into the sunset, so to speak, as Kirksville High School tennis coach. But first, Tyler, how are you doing this evening?
Doing well. How are you doing?
Doing very well.
Thanks for having me back on the show.
Absolutely. Two friends of the program along with us this evening. Tyler, talk a little bit about this past weekend, kind of an interesting mixed bag of having multiple teams in town and everything that went into that.
Yeah, we were fortunate enough that the three of us had our bye weekends of our conference in the same weekend. Missouri Southern and Saginaw Valley State University. Both are receiving regionally ranked in their respective regions. Two very historically good teams, so it's always fun to play those guys. And we have went down to Mo Southern several times, and it was nice to have them return the trip up here. And it's always nice playing at home.
Talk about just kind of the unique dynamic of non-conference games this late in the season.
This late in the season is definitely different for us. Normally we start our season with non-conference games, so it was kind of like get out of the conference grind a little bit, and to have a different schedule of games where we only played 3 9-inning games was a little different for us. This is definitely the latest since I've been here that we've had the bye weekend in conference, so it's just a little different. And it's nice to see other teams this late in the season, especially the tier of competition level that we saw this past weekend.
And preparing you guys a little bit for the final 4-game home stretch of the season this weekend with Upper Iowa, Senior Day, everything that goes into that. Look ahead for us a little bit.
Yeah, Upper Iowa, I think this will be our 3rd year in a row that we finished with Upper Iowa. The previous 2 seasons, we finished up there in Fayette, Iowa. So it'll be nice to finish at home against those guys. We're pretty comparable in a lot of ways. Offensively, I think we're hitting a little better than they are. Our pitching numbers are pretty similar. It should be a real fun test. I know we're going to be able to steal some bases that we want to do, where we haven't been able to do that the last 2 weekends as much as we would like to, just based off score and the way the other teams had held us down on the base pass. So hopefully we're able to get back onto the bases and running how we want to run the bases. So it'll be a pretty fun weekend. There's with Senior Day, we have 3 seniors, Alex Wittenauer, Isaac Epp, and Tyler Tiemann are both 4-year guys that have been with the program and have done great things. So it'll be great to send them off, and hopefully we can send them off correctly and the right way with a series win.
What do you guys have planned as far as how you are going to celebrate those 3 who have meant so much to the program?
I mean, it's on, I believe we have our ceremony on Saturday, and just kind of how we do it with everyone. Obviously, each player is a little different in their impact on the program. Alex Wittenauer, his first 3 years were spent as a catcher. He went over to the pitching side of things to help the team out this year, which is very tough and a very just a for the program type of move for that guy. Unfortunately, he's been out the last couple weeks after becoming one of our better, more trusted relievers, and he's out for the season. So it'll be kind of a sad send-off for him, but he's been awesome to our program. Isaac Epp will get I think he's going to start Friday, one of our Friday games, and he's been the rock of our rotation the last 4 years. He got into the rotation as midway through his freshman year, and he's been our number 1 guy the last 2 weekends. He's just a tough competitor. Got beat up a little bit this last weekend in a very non-ep start. So hopefully he can bounce back and end his career on a positive note, which we think he will. He's just been a rock for us on the rotation. And then Tyler Tiemann, arguably one of the best first basemen in the league, especially on the defensive side of things. And he's kind of our team glue guy, big personality, and will have guys' backs. And so hopefully he's he's having one of his best years as a Bulldog, and hopefully he can just kind of finish strong.
For Ep and Tiemann, it seems like they've been around for a lot longer than 4 years. It seems like they've been here forever. Just losing two dudes like that who are just the glue. What does that mean for you guys moving forward from their end? What is the imprint that they've left? I guess I should ask.
Yeah, two guys that have led our program in completely different ways. Isaac Epp is a very just head down and work kind of guy, and doesn't really say much, but when he does, it holds a lot of weight with our guys. He teaches the work ethic of just go in to our young pitchers and get your work in that day, and just continue to get better and better. Tiemann, same level of work ethic. He likes to talk a little bit more, and so he's more of a outgoing leader on our team, where it's gonna be harder, in my opinion, to replace that aspect of it, because he's the guy that if guys are kind of going through the motions a little bit, he's the guy that will get on them a little bit, and then he just also he's a ball of energy. When things are going bad, he's the first guy that will be like, "Hey, let's pick it up. New day, new game, whatever." So his energy is going to be tough to replace. But he's definitely a guy that will have his teammates back no matter what, and he's not afraid to say it. There's been a couple times this year where that's been shown. So losing that will be definitely someone's gonna have to step up in that role. But just the work ethic of Ep is gonna be tough to replace, and he's just the steady Eddie. It's hard for guys to want to throw in game one of every weekend when a lot of the weekends we have to drive down day of the game. Could be 3-4 hours on the bus. But he wanted that challenge to go against the other team's number ones every weekend. So that mentality is going to be tough to replace, and just his overall, his numbers. I mean, if we could hit for him on Friday nights, he would be probably have 6 or 7 more wins. That's how well he's pitched this year. So unfortunate for him that we have not put our offense on the Friday night games for him.
And it seems like over the course of the season, there have been games that you've lost 2-1, and there have been games that you've lost 15-14. Just kind of that range of ways in which a baseball game can shake down. This final 4-game series, what are you guys looking ahead to after this weekend concludes the regular season?
We're just it's a double-edged sword where we're excited to celebrate these seniors, but it's gonna be sad to send them off. And then just knowing that this is gonna be our last weekend, we didn't achieve the goals that we wanted to achieve this year, where we thought we had a really good chance of making the conference tournament. But like you said, we've been on the short end of the stick of multiple one-run games. There's been a lot of games that get away from us late, where we give up a 6th spot in the 7th inning or something like that. So it's disappointing that the season is ending, but hopefully we're able to send off the seniors in a positive manner. We definitely have some guys that are chasing some records as well this weekend, that will be interesting to see that push. We have some team records that are in scope as well. So just kind of going out and playing loose and free and see what we can really do when we are loose and free, and set a tone for next year.
And there are highs. I was fortunate enough to be there that day that you guys beat Illinois Springfield in the first game of that series to hand them their second GLBC loss. I mean, this is not a failure of a season. I mean, there have been highs. What have been some of those for you?
Yeah, I think really we've had 4 regional uh, teams that have been regionally ranked. We beat Mo Southern, Drury twice, UIS. So those are definitely the highs. And it's only a failure of a season if we don't learn from it. We've been banged up here recently, the last couple weekends, where against Rockhurst, I think we had 7 pitchers that were able to throw. Just some nagging injuries that popped up. And that's kind of been the story of our season. If things could go wrong, they have went wrong. And that's the biggest thing, is just being able to change that outlook, and forcing some good things to happen. Where, I mean, the highs are Nick Stoyer, he's been a guy all year. He's been leading the league in hitting most of the season. To see him go out on top of to win a batting title in the league would be kind of cool to see. And just how he plays a game. Dagan Hart has been hot, really hot lately. Evan Davis, Tyler Tiemann, those are 4 guys that have been on a tear offensively. So the offensive side of things, those 4 guys are definitely guys that we look forward to. Tiemann obviously moving on, but just seeing the growth that they have shown this year has been the high. Gavin Schieffer has had a really strong campaign and has been really hot lately too. So just really the positive of the season is to see how our guys have grown as the season has went on. And there hasn't been a lot of quit in our guys. They've been resilient to bounce back. Yesterday beating Saginaw Valley after they put it to us pretty good on Friday. Just to bounce back and win that game, and in a tough loss against Missouri Southern where we were leading the whole way, and then the 7th or 8th inning happened, and just to have the resilience to bounce back that next day. And that's kind of been what has been the strong point and probably the most positive of our season, is the resiliency and just the fight that they've shown all year.
Just in general, is there anything that you've noticed from a coaching perspective when the injury bug just hits, it just hits, or is there any more to it than that?
I think it just hits when it hits. Everything in baseball is contagious. When we hit really well, every guy hits, right? When a starter goes out and throws a gem of a game, the next guy is going to go out and probably throw pretty well too. So it's just everything in baseball seems contagious. When one guy gets banged up, it seems like there's another guy coming or things like that. And some of it's just been freak issues. Colin Meath has been out the majority of the year. He made a heck of a catch against Quincy up against the wall and banged up his wrist and hasn't been able to recover from that. So a lot of it has been freak issues. It's nothing like crazy. It's just how it is sometimes.
It feels like when it rains, it pours.
Yes, absolutely.
I want to point out there was a very good piece about Stoyer in the Index. I wish I could think of the name of the young man who wrote that piece, but highlight him a little bit. Some of these guys who are coming back. Stoyer finishing with a batting title is pretty remarkable. Highlight him a little bit.
From day on, we knew he was going to be a guy for us. His competitive nature, he hates losing at everything. We had some competition races in our conditioning aspect of the year, and if it came down to it, you knew he was gonna just do whatever it took to win. He is just a complete competitor. We started him out at the 9-hole just to kind of ease his way in, and then he hit like 400 in the opening weekend, and then we moved him up to the 3-hole. Colin Meath gets hurt, moved him to the leadoff. Just kind of give him free reign to be him. He is just a remarkable athlete. There's not a lot that he can't do on the baseball field. So we give him a lot of free reign of when he wants the 3-0 swing, go ahead. It's hard to say enough good things about him. He's chasing some school single season records as a freshman, which is crazy. He's 1 double away from tying the school record. He's 1 triple away from tying the record. I believe unofficially he's broke the freshman steals record that was set by Colin Meath 2 years ago. I think he's at 24 of 27 stolen bases. So he's just a complete player that can do it all. And unfortunately, we haven't been able to see him on the mound. He started the season as our closer, and his shoulder was kind of sore, so we didn't want to push that aspect of it. So he could be even having an even better year if he was able to get it on the mound, and it probably helps us win a couple more games here and there just because of the competitor he is. He wants the ball in the situation, but just didn't work out for him to do both sides of it as a freshman. So we definitely couldn't take him out of the lineup to make him just be a PO. So that's kind of how we stuck with it. But he is just a remarkable athlete that will do anything to win. And that's just the biggest thing that I can say about him.
and just about your team in general, talking about just letting it go and playing your game and just being yourself. A final 4 games you're playing with house money. Just go and get a series win. Just let it all hang loose for these guys, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we play our best ball when we're able to do some things on the bases, where we were able to run, just play free and easy and let the chips fall where they will. And I think we'll get to that point. Hopefully, it's some good weather, it seems like, and we played well this past weekend against some top-tier teams. So, just knowing that it always seems like the last weekend when you're not in the hunt of it, you can just feel a collective. And so, let's just hope we can go out and compete and give our seniors a proper send-off here.
Coach Tyler Hudlow, what time should people head to the park this weekend over the course of the week?
On Friday, we start at 3 p.m. Or Thursday this week. We're moving up our series. So Thursday will be at 3 p.m. Friday will be a 1 p.m. doubleheader, and then noon on Saturday.
Tyler Hudlow, assistant coach, Truman State University Baseball. Tyler, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me again. Appreciate it.
We appreciate it. Joined now by Lee Riley, Kirksville tennis coach, as he enters the home stretch of his final year with the program. Kirksville Tigers are coming off of a conference championship, 5-0 in the conference after defeating Mexico last Friday. And by the time of this broadcast, they will have played in the NCMC tournament on Tuesday. Lee, very good to have you.
Yeah, nice, Zach.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. Talk a little bit about just how special it all is to culminate in the way that it has. An undefeated NCMC season in the last season of the conference and your last season as a head coach, just all of it kind of coming together before we talk about the conference tournament tomorrow a little bit.
Yes, you couldn't ask for anything more perfect, going out kind of with a bang, so to speak, getting the opportunity to be conference champions. That's kind of how the way you wish everything goes out. You want to be a very positive note for you and your kids, and right now it has been. So we'll see if we can get the other title tomorrow.
Last time we had you on the program, I didn't realize quite how dominant you guys would be. You guys are 11-2 coming into the conference tournament. I didn't realize you were very confident that you would have a good team, but maybe even you didn't realize how much you guys would steamroll the NCMC. Talk a little bit about just the conference slate and what has gone on in winning matches 9-0 and 8-1 over the course of the past handful of weeks.
Right. We had a close one against Moberly. It was 5-4. I don't think we were really ready to play. It was really windy that day. I just had one of my kids come back for the first time playing in a match. So, we took care of business. We won. But the other schools, I didn't really know that we were going to be beating them, 8-1 and 9-0. So that was kind of different, to be kind of dominant like that. So, yeah, it's been fun. They probably are glad to see me leave.
Regular season NCMC conference champs, the individual tournament that will have taken place again by the time of this broadcast on Tuesday afternoon, weather pending, of course. Explain just the format a little bit and how that works.
So you have 6 singles, 1 through 6, and then you have 3 doubles. Your JV kids will go and play. They put them into brackets. All of us come into, seed meetings, and then we seed them, and then they play, and double elimination. You get points based on how many you finish. You finish first, you get 6 points. You finish 6th place, you get 1 point. You add them all up. Whoever's got the most, comes out of there, as a champion. So
tennis is unique in that regard. Talking about like seed meetings, for example, how do those things go?
Not as bad as what you think. Over the years, I think it's got better. You have a lot of opponents. Usually there's kind of someone dominant in each bracket. We've kind of got the philosophy, when the doubles kids, JVs, all matches, they're playing different partners. Unless you just got one team that's played together, happens to be the whole year. Mine haven't. I'm going to have kids mixed in there. I've always had kids gone, so everyone's kind of had to play up, so to speak. We just kind of say, you know what? The better team's going to win. So let's just kind of put them where they fall. And there's always someone that's going to go in and say, my kids have lost everything. Put me last. Those kind of deals. Those are easy brackets to do. So, there's not really much fighting and arguing, as what it used to be in the past. So
Where do you guys go afterwards, after tomorrow's conference tournament? Postseason wise, where does it take you?
We have to go to St. Joe and play 9 different schools. We'll enter individuals, singles, and doubles tournament. Our 6 guys, two singles guys, 2 doubles teams, put them in with those schools, top 2 out of each bracket, go to state. So that'll be Friday, getting up pretty early for that one.
The hope from here, of course, for the Tigers is that we're not nearly done with the tennis season quite yet for a couple of weeks. Talk about your kids in that regard.
District, we want to get top 2. Realistically, my singles guy has a really good chance, Quinn Doral, to get out. Maryville has a really good dominant doubles team. So, you say maybe you got a shot for it, but there's some other schools in there that's pretty good. So, Benton's kid got 2nd in state. Mine got 8th. So, they're going to be the 1 and the 2, and hopefully they meet and both of them get to go back.
It is just the way it is as far as districts are lined up in our part of the world. You face who you face. We are in a really, really tough district, to put it mildly. Talk about some of those other teams you mentioned.
Yeah, Maryville, they've been strong over the years. Their doubles team, I think, got 3rd last year in state, and both of those kids are back again. They won our district last year. We went up and played them. They dominated us. They got all of them but one kid back, strong team. Traveling 3 hours too doesn't make it any easier on you. But trying to think, Savannah was pretty good. They've lost a couple kids. So LeBlanc, private school's in there now. They have a freshman at number 1. So, they're going to be good for years to come. And then we're going to be a part of them in our conference. So we're going to get to see them all again. So I'm thinking what's going to happen there is we'll see them in the conference, and then they'll switch our district up, and we'll be going somewhere completely different. That's what the mission does, the state of Missouri. So it makes no rhyme or reason what they do and where they put you in the district. First time in 23 years last year that I ever went to St. Joe for a district. No reason. Just poof, there we go.
And it's just Bishop LeBlond is one that kind of cracks me. Just how we got here with Bishop LeBlond being a comparable sized school that now we're going to see for a long time to come after never having seen them in anything.
Right. And in football, they're going to play 8-man football. So, and they're going to be in our conference. So I don't know how that's going to work out with football. So probably we won't play them.
We'll see how this upcoming year goes. But I think that for coming up with a solution to a problem, we've done about as well as we could for the time being.
Yeah, getting us in a conference. Yeah.
Has it, a handful of weeks ago, you joked that no matter how hard they might tug on your hair, they're not going to bring you back out to coach tennis.
No, I got to work on my golf handicap as what my priorities are going to be.
There you go.
You've only got so many years left to play golf, and I'm going to kind of try to do that and see what I can do on that and get a little bit better anyway before my golf game goes away.
Has that started to set in a little bit yet?
At times it does. Then other times, something will happen and you'll be like, man, I'm glad that's going to be over. Like riding the school bus. There's a couple incidents on the way down there, and it's like, I've got one more trip that I have to ride a school bus in my entire life. I've been doing this for 25 years. I will not miss that at all. But, being around the kids, competitive, watching it, it was just kind of weird the other night, just kind of sitting there watching the last, conference match. I'm like, wow, I don't even know how to take this. Am I happy? Am I sad? It was kind of a weird feeling. So you just kind of take it all in and it'll set in eventually.
Tomorrow, I look forward to that for you guys. And again, weather pending, but I really hope that it gets in as originally scheduled. It's one of the last NCMC things to ever happen.
Yes.
Is that anything that, the history component, is that anything your kids think about very often?
I don't think really. I mean, as long as they're playing someone, I don't think they really care.
Yeah.
Doesn't really mean that much to them. Just let them play, whether it's St. Joe or Kirksville or wherever, Mexico, they'll play. I mean, some of those schools we're still going to see. So biggest part of them. Just, I think the main reason is get Hannibal out of there. That's kind of what they wanted to do. So,
and I think that's kind of a two-way street.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of.
I think a lot of the other schools, from what I've talked about, they have more trouble with Hannibal than kind of really we do. It doesn't really bother us that we play them. They're just tired of over the years and everything getting beat by them. So, I mean, that could happen going into this conference that we're in too. There's going to be someone dominant for a while. In every sport you're going to have one eventually.
somebody on the inside who has, seen the conference change over the course of the better part of 20, better part of 30 years?
Close, 25. I mean, I saw it when we had Rockbridge and Elias in there. I even played myself when we had it. I sat down the first conference meeting with two coaches, Rockbridge and Elias. Never seen anything like it before, and I was like, what in the world did I get myself into? One guy got up, threw his stuff down, walked out, and said, you just put them in however you want. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. So, it's evolved from that. So
When Boonville left, was that did you guys kind of feel like that was that this day would eventually come, I guess, so to speak?
I hadn't really thought about it. I thought maybe it'd come sometime, but maybe after I was gone. So I guess technically it is going to be after I'm gone. But, I'm seeing a lot of conferences change. You're reading about it. This one's going here and they're going there. Everyone's doing it. So it's just, nothing lasts forever and it's change and you get to play new people. I think that's what everybody's kind of wanting. They're getting tired of playing the same old people year after year. They want to branch out. That's why we go to tournaments. You get to see different people. So
I guess one of the positive notes about going to St. Joe and seeing different competition is exactly that. Teams that you wouldn't otherwise see necessarily as we get into the postseason when you talk about districts and things like that. Anybody else that you specifically have on your radar postseason wise?
No, I mean, there's 9 teams in there. There's 4 teams that, stand kind of a chance to win. There's one school in there, Lafayette. They're done after this year. So, they're wrapping it up. So their kids are all going to have to go to a couple different places in St. Joe. So
it's easy to forget over the course of the past handful of months, and so much has changed, really since the beginning of the year with the NCMC officially dissolving, that this is not unique to Kirksville. Like you mentioned, a lot of schools have decisions to make conference-wise and things like that moving forward. What do you think? What do you think realistically goes on in the conference tournament tomorrow? What are your anticipations?
Hannibal getting into it with Moberly. I mean, that's just kind of a given over the years. They've had a change of a lot of seniors, so hopefully it'll go a lot better. I've always just kind of sit back and kind of watch it happen. I don't get caught up in the drama.
Yeah.
Tell our kids, here's our job. Here's what we need to do. I told them if they win tomorrow, we get first. I said, the shirt's going to be on me. You're all going to have a new conference shirt that we're going to buy. I had a donor that gave some money, and he'll buy those shirts for us, those conference championships. And, those kids will always have that. But, we got to take care of business. So kind of got dangle a little apple in front of them or carrot or whatever you want to say and say, hey, let's go out there and get this. So, yeah, they'll be fired up to play. They want to win. They want to be a part of history.
What do you guys have? There's like a 2-week gap between the conference tournament when you play again next in the district
Monday or Friday will be the individual, and then the team will start the next Monday.
And then the next Monday, a little bit of time in between. What's going to go in practice wise?
Day off. That's going to be a long day for him tomorrow. Be a long day Friday. So, meet Thursday, hit around a little bit and say, see you at 5 a.m, boys, let's go.
Yep.
So, and then you turn around and have the team on Monday. So, I mean, not really much practicing on it. They've done all the practice they can do now. So just putting it all together.
Just go out there and play your game.
Yep.
Where just in general has this team come from? You mentioned like a windy day against Moberly to begin the year. Didn't play as well as you would have liked, but just in general from the time the season began to now, where has this team come?
A lot. They kind of let one get away from them when we were down in Camdenton tournament, and it really kind of bothered them. They're like, I think we lost one we should have. So they're like, we're not going to have that happen again. Maturity, dig a little deep, some questionable calls. They know how to handle those situations now a lot better. They kind of just let it happen. And we're like, kind of cost you. And they're like, yeah, that probably did. That might have been my fault, So, learn a little bit. Don't stand up for yourself. Don't let it happen. And, don't get in that close match. Do what you need to do to win. So
those 2 losses, the only 2 losses of the Tigers season, were in a tournament where it was back to back to back. Talk a little bit about the nature of a tournament like that and how that's going to prepare your guys for the postseason.
Well, you have 3, back to back to back, hot down in Camdenton. A lot of stamina you got to play. So it's going to be cooler tomorrow. Some will have 2 matches, some will only have 3. They've already done that. So they know what it's all about. So conditioning, that won't be a problem for them. So
do you think that your guys are where you would want them to be, but based on what you were thinking at the beginning of March, late February? Are you about where you wanted to be?
yeah. We've had, some kids miss some matches. Not my ideal, but they just do so much stuff and involved in so many different things these days. Not what it used to be. You're committed 100%. They're in theater, they're in band, they're in choir, they're in FBLA. They're just doing all kinds of stuff. So if you don't let them do that, you lose out on these players that are, good and borderline and want to stay and play and, can have fun with it. So over the years, I've kind of adapted and let them, do those things. And I've kept some of those kids that might have quit in the past. So, they're still here. Just take the good with the bad. If like one wouldn't show up tomorrow, I'm taking an extra one. Everyone would bump down one. So I know in the past, take an extra kid just in case something happens. Some kid gets sick, some kid gets hurt. Boom, you just fill one in.
Next man up.
Yep, next man up, so to speak. And we played enough of that. Those kids have played down, so to speak, that we should be fine with if that would happen. They would know what to do.
Very good. Lee Riley, Kirksville High School tennis. Lee, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
It was good. You guys are doing a good thing here.
We appreciate that a lot.
Yep, getting out in the community.
By the time that this releases, Lee Riley and his Kirksville Tigers will have played in the NCMC tournament, again, weather pending this time of year, and that will have been in Mexico on Tuesday afternoon. Lee Riley, thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.
Man.
Thanks for having me.
Lee Riley, his final year as Kirksville tennis head coach, and he's convinced me that you couldn't give him anything to bring him back for another year. He's golfing next year, he says.
That's it.
Thank you very much for joining us this evening. I've been Henry Jansen, sports writer for the Kirksville Daily Express. Join us next week for one final episode of Raining Cats and Dogs before we catch you again in September. We appreciate you joining us greatly. Thank you very much.